Well, to assess Portugal's perilous position, I'm joined from Lisbon now by former advisor to the Finance Ministry, Pedro Braz Teixeira. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about the vote and what it signifies? Was it a vote against the austerity measures or against the government?
I think the vote was mostly against the government. This government did not comply by the targets that it agreed with Brussels in May last year. In September, they said they would not do almost any consolidation, and they had a very tough and not always loyal discussion with the Social Democrats, and now they are asking for new measures, and they're really not this government has not been reliable either in producing results and either in being a loyal partner to the Social Democrats.
But does that mean that a new government would be able to pass the kind of austerity measures needed without resorting to a bailout?
Well, I think that the bailout will probably happen even before elections. I think that will be, so the new government will face the bailout already and probably will have negotiated in Parliament the conditions attached to this bailout. So I think the problem will be on the table before the elections.
And is it the case that everybody wants the IMF to be called in by somebody except them?
Well, not everybody wants the IMF, but the IMF has been diabolized by the government because of the memories of the last time it was in Portugal in 1978 and in 1983. But the measures implemented by a new government, a government has a majority in the parliament, which this one has not, a fresh government and not an exhausted one as this one, and a government that is more market-oriented, like one led by the Social Democrats, than this one led by the Socialists, who will only do half reforms and seem not to be convinced of the need to make them, and just making them because they are being pressed to make them.
Now, what we've seen so far with Portugal is that it's really struggled to grow. That's been the problem. The growth has been so slow. Are there measures that could be put in place to turn that around and to help the economy grow that just aren't being done at the moment?
Well, there are several measures have been proposed. One is to increase again the VAT tax, but then to decrease the contributions to Social Security that would reduce the costs to companies, that would allow them to compete. And then there are other measures like liberalizing several markets, the labor market, telecommunications market, energy market, and several other markets who are very rigid and lack competition.
And as far as the situation's concerned now, there does seem to be a vacuum of power. What do you see as the most likely thing that will happen next? Are we definitely looking at an early election?
Yes, I think all the parties are going to meet the President of the Republic today, and I think they will all ask for early elections. So this is absolutely undoubtable. But for instance, if there is the need to agree into conditions so that the IMF and the European Fund comes to help us, I think the Parliament is in condition to approve those conditions.
And so you're looking at, do you think that a bailout is likely as early as this weekend, perhaps?
Well, I wouldn't talk about this kind of. I think it's not this weekend; it's in a few weeks' time, I think. But this, I wouldn't go into such detail.
Okay, Mr. Teixeira, thank you very much indeed for joining us from Lisbon.